So attendees are going to come in, Aaron, now.
Okay.
All right. We'll figure out why there's so many of me in a minute.
Okay. Hello and welcome, everyone. We're just waiting to get started here, get everybody into the webinar.
Aaron, I'm going to turn my camera off, but know that I'm here. All right.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. We'll get started shortly. Thanks for being here with us.
If you're just coming in, thank you for being here. We're just going to wait a couple minutes as people start to load in.
So everybody knows we will be recording this tonight, and we will be sharing out slides and the recording.
We're going to give it just one more minute here and we're going to get started. All right, good evening, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Erin Palmer, and I'm your new AP IB coordinator for Dexter Community Schools, stepping bravely in after Deb Marsh's retirement. I'm very excited to be in the position, and we have some good information for you today. I'm co-hosting and joined by Miss Rachel Hervey, who is the assistant principal at Dexter High School. She'll be running our chat and kind of our background tech of the webinar tonight. But if you do have any questions as we move through, feel free to throw them in the chat. She'll be addressing them as I go through, and then there will be plenty of time for questions. Ms. Rachel Hervey did mention that we are recording this evening. We will be posting both the recording and the slideshow in the parent emails that go out by the principal at the end of each week, but I'll also have it posted in the student Canvas pages for access. The slideshow itself does have helpful links that you can click on and get to things, but we're going to show you everything that you need to know to get your students set up for success this year for their May exam testing. So, Rachel, did you want to say anything as an introduction before we get started?
I'll just welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. As Erin said, I'm here in the background. I'll be following on the chat. If any questions come up, please do not hesitate to put them in there, and then I will make sure that we get them answered. And also keep an eye on emails for this information to be emailed out. I think that's all for me. Thanks so much for being here. And Erin, I'll let you start.
All right, so this webinar is for AP and IB parents and students, and setting them up for exam registration. Many of your students, teachers have posted it to this process to their Canvases. As the new AP IB coordinator, I see all IB diploma students in their core class, both the 11th and 12th graders in core. And we'll be going over this information, and each teacher is a resource for your students as well. So the big due date is that spooky Friday that's coming up on October 31st. This is when your two-step process for exam registration needs to be completed. So whether you're an AP or IB student, it's a two-step process. You need to register and pay. Register and pay for the exams, both of those things by October 31st. But we're going to walk you through those steps, those two steps, but it looks a little differently for AP and IB. So we're first going to, if you want to switch on over to the next slide, we're going to start with AP students. So each AP student, whether they're in AP Gov, AP US History, etc., they are in that individual class with a teacher that gave them a join code to add a class to their College Board account. It will look very similarly to the dashboard on Canvas if they're taking multiple AP classes. And so they should already be in those classes, depending on the teacher and the class. They're interacting with that class through various, practice tests, or there's daily videos or things like that. If a student has not accessed their College Board account or has forgotten their username and password, or simply just has not gotten that join code, there's several things that they can do. Unfortunately, because this College Board account is set up through a personal email of the students, that username and password is not something that Dexter Community Schools has. So they will have to reach out to College Board. We included the phone number here for them to call, and then they can figure out, do they forget their email or their password, and get it reset so they can get in. They are very nice people over at College Board, usually pretty quick once you get to someone, but as you call any 1-800, it takes a little time to get where you need to be. But once they get their username and password, they should be in. If they are not seeing their class on their kind of dashboard for College Board, then they just need the join code from their teacher. If I have any of my online or self-guided students, I have all of the join codes. You can also reach out directly to me or Miss Hervey, and we can get a join code for any of the classes. But students that are in person in classes can go straight to their teacher. If they are an online or self-guided student, they can come to me. And moving right along. So once they are in their class, we want to click over the next slide.
Sorry, working on it. There we go.
There we go. So this is an example of once a student clicks into a specific class, this will be located on part of their homepage for that class, in this case, AP Macroeconomics. And you're going to see down, there's some italics that were, in this case, it says not registered for exam. It tells you the exam date already, so that's something you can place on your calendars, both as a student and parent or guardian. So in this case, it's modeling May 8th. But you see the button that says register for exam. So the student will click that button. And once they do that, it's going to set them up essentially saying, do you want to do this or not? So they have to toggle from one to the other. So if they're taking their AP exam, they want to, it's not a requirement certainly, but many students choose to, they confirm their registration, press that blue button, and then voila, your message, your success message should come up. you are now registered for the AP exam. You will also notice on that student's page that the date of the exam, and remember how I mentioned the italics that says you are not registered, that will change over and say you are registered for this exam. So they should be able to log on anytime after they do this and see if they are registered or not. And that's all an AP student needs to do to register for their exam. Now they just need to do step 2, which is pay for their exam. So we use a system here in Dexter Community Schools called Elio or Elio, and each AP exam will have its own link on Elio, and we'll show you that in a minute. So on October 31st, that Spooky Friday, we need for each exam a $45 deposit. You're not paying the full amount. If you choose to, you can. But we just need a deposit for each one of their exams. The total for each AP exam is $110. You can choose to pay it all at once or over time, but the balance of whatever is unpaid for any of the exams will be charged to the credit card on file on December 19th. That is the day before our winter break here. So if a student has gone through College Board in their class and toggled over, they've confirmed for their exam, so they've registered and they've paid their deposit for each one of their exams. So if they're in multiple AP classes, they've paid each one. Then they are set up to get that exam ordered for them. It's on the way. It's just up to the family to pace out how to pay for it through December 19th. On December 19th, the system will automatically charge that credit card the rest of the amount. If your family is seeking financial support for exam testing, please reach out directly to Miss Hervey. She's the one on the call tonight, but you can reach her at any time through email, and her email's here at herveyr@dexterschools.org. So I'm going to pause here for a moment before I launch into IB. Questions on AP exam registration. So step 1, register through their AP classroom on College Board, or step 2, LEO payments.
There's no question so far, Erin, and just a reminder to all families, we will show step-by-step LEO here in a few more slides. So if it's payment questions on LEO, we got you in a few slides.
We also are going to be addressing any students in need of accommodations, and we'll talk about that after I kind of present to IB parents how they register their students. So hang tight on that as well if that's a question.
We have one question here that says, does student receive email confirmation once they register? And so I'm not sure if that question is coming through related to the payment piece or the exam piece. Families will receive an email receipt for payment. So perfect. You just exam piece. There is not a way that College Board sends any type of confirmation. If a student is wondering if they did it correctly, have them check in with either Miss Palmer or their teacher, and either person would be able to share if they've done it right.
They can also, as I said, and I don't know, Rachel, if it's worth kind of backing up in the slides to show them that italics, but the homepage, when they click into their class, it'll say you are registered for this exam once you've successfully done it. If they log back into their class on another day and it says you have not registered for this exam, then something must have happened, like tech wise, that it didn't go through. They can come see me at any time, and I have like all-seeing power on who has kind of toggled yes and no. I'm conveniently located for this student in room 71 that's right by the cafeteria. So anytime at lunch, if they just want to confirm it, they can come see me, and I can check for them. But they can literally turn their screen once they're on their classroom, and you can see in italics like you are not signed up for the exam.
That's all for questions from this end. I
All
will
right.
the next
Well,
slide.
we're going to launch into IB. We still got lots of good information for AP parents too, so just hang tight for a moment. So as I said, for AP and IB students, it's a two-step process. And so the first thing an IB student needs to know is which exams they're taking this year. We've had some questions from like juniors and seniors on, which exams are we taking, especially from juniors who aren't quite sure if their course is a two-year course or an HL class. So we have on LEO and in the registration form actually put little cheat like hints in parentheses, like this is only a senior exam or to help with that. But here are some helpful reminders. So only seniors will be taking their foreign language exams. And only seniors take the two-year HL courses. So in English, bio, chem, history, math, it's the A&A, HL, and psychology. So those are only seniors for IB film and IB theater because they don't have official exams in the same way. They're projects that they have to submit. They have different due dates, but it's still considered an exam that has to be paid for and has slots on LEO. So first step is when registering for exams, like know which exams you're taking. Each teacher can tell the student exactly which one. I can also tell them if they're confused. I also have the 11 and 12 core diploma bound students who I can help in that direction if they need it. So this is the equivalent of step one for our IB students. So there is no equivalent of like a college board or any type of thing. In order for the IB students to tell us what exams they are taking, we have created just a Google form. So this is a document that is unique to Dexter High School. And so it's going to serve just like a Google form that will walk them through some demographic questions. And then it will walk them through for each category of IB exams. There are six that ask you, like, are you taking a group one, language, group two, foreign language, group three, etc. There is a slot in each of those categories for them to say, I am not taking a test in group one. I'm not taking a test in group two. So they work their way through that. There is a section on that IB registration form about AP exams that is helping for students that take both IB and AP for us to know if there's any overlap so that we can schedule them accordingly if they need to take an alternate date. And we'll be contacting those students and parents and kind of letting them know of their individual plans. But they can expect to see that on the IB exam registration form. So this form has been, again, published to all of their IB classes, Canvas certainly in core, it's been published. So they just need to click on it, fill it out. It is important that the student has to go through it, even if you want to be present while they do it, because it has to go through a Dexter Schools email. So if we have any parents that like tried to like go in and fill out the registration form because you don't have a Dexter Schools email, it won't let you do that. You only need to fill out the form once, even if you are taking multiple IB exams. This form is due, just like our AP students through College Board, on that spooky Friday, October 31st. And once they've filled out that form, again, they can fill it out once for all of their exams. Then we go to step two, which is the LEO payment. So their exams have the same deposit on for October 31st, but IB exams are slightly more expensive. It's 135 per exam. Just like the AP time span, you have to make a deposit for each exam by October 31st. You can go in and make payments at your own pace. And then on December 19th, that's the day before our winter break, it will charge the remaining balance for those exams. So the credit card on file will be charged on December 19th. As always, families that are seeking any type of financial assistance, please reach out to Rachel Hervey. As mentioned before, you can contact her by email, and she can get all your questions answered for that.
One thing I want to mention about both the costs for both um, is it is a significant cost right now up front. With majority of these classes, students can earn, or with these exams, students can earn college credits. Um, and so when we look at $135 for an exam, it could line up and remove a couple $1,000 for a credit or two or three at the college level. And in some cases, it can remove a semester or even a whole year of college for students. So while there is that significant cost up front right now, in the long run, it can be very beneficial for families.
Yeah, thank you for that note, Rachel. We actually there's a slide later too that we'll talk about some of the benefits and things, but that is an important note to mention. We understand the financial kind of sticker shock right at first, but the long run kind of benefits that many of these students are facing is tremendous. So um it certainly by no means is a requirement for IB students, except for if they're diploma bound, to take their exams, but we highly encourage them to do so. What questions can I answer about IB registration? So different step one, same step two.
We have no questions right now in the chat or the Q&A. Um, One thing you may have just heard Ms. Palmer say about diploma bound, and when she says that, she means IB diploma bound. All students are currently Dexter High School and State of Michigan diploma bound. Some families who are on here right now, your student is also a IB diploma candidate. Um, and would be working towards some additional credentials for high school graduation.
Thank you for that
I just got a
clarification.
question. Um, Later in the school year, as the students who are seniors are nearing graduation, how does Dexter help the students find the path to college credit from the AP or IB courses they have taken? So that's a really great question. So AP and IB scores do not get released until July. Colleges are very familiar with this. This is every year. And so what students will do for AP is they will have to go into their College Board account and request for AP scores to be submitted to whatever school they have selected. And we definitely provide information on how to do that and reminders. Ultimately, for AP, it becomes the student's responsibility because they have graduated from high school at that point. For IB, Miss Palmer will collect the college of choice information for graduating seniors before they leave us at the end of May. And when the IB scores get released, she will have already submitted the college information to the IB, and it will automatically get sent to the IB. The IB sends scores to one college for free. If a student later down the road decided to transfer and needed their IB scores sent to another college, there is a small cost with that. But the first send to whatever college they choose is for free, and that all takes place in July once scores are released, which happens to be right around the July 4, July 5th dates. So that is how that information gets to the college of choice. I also always strongly recommend, as students are looking and doing college application processes right now, to be in communication with their counselors. There are some universities and colleges that give more credits for AP and IB exams than other colleges. Some schools, if a student is an IB diploma candidate or earns the IB diploma, they automatically start college as a sophomore. And so if that is something that students are very interested in trying to figure out, then certainly be having meetings with their counselor and Ms. Palmer or myself, and we can help kind of find what might be the best path for each student. All of the colleges also on their websites have some pretty clear information about what scores they accept for each exam. Obviously, some schools are accept a lot of courses and scores, and other schools have a little bit smaller range of acceptance. So that is the only question I'm seeing. So we can
Wonderful.
go on.
Uh, Thank you for that. Just to piggyback a little bit off of Rachel saying, I know that as some people in the AP world are considering if their student's going to take the exam, as she said, counselors can tell or can speak to or lead them in the right direction for colleges and universities, like what AP scores will and will not kind of be accepted or what they count for. So in your consideration for signing up for a test or paying for exams, if they have their list of schools that they're applying to, they can go to their counselor. They can even look up at that school, like, if I take this test, what are the possible outcomes? And that can help make the decision if a student is kind of on the fence on whether they want to take the exam or not. So we are moving into the section on Elio. So this is like how you access it as a parent or guardian. Even though if you come back to this presentation, we have embedded the links for AP and IB that you can just click on. But if you are looking for Elio and you're just going to the Dexter Community Schools website, that's how we're gonna show you how to get to Elio. This is also helpful beyond just APIB testing payment because we use Elio for a lot of different payments for various things in the district. And some of you might have already used it, for example, in eighth grade for Washington, D.C. payments. So you go to the Dexter Community Schools website, you'll notice that there's a ribbon at the top in maroon that kind of gives you categories for, who's looking at and what information, and you're looking for the parents tab. When you click on parents, it will load a new page and you're going to scroll down and you're going to see in blue Elio. And so you're going to click on that. And then there is a search box because, like I said, there will be lots of different types of things that are going on that require payments that are run through the school beyond just AP and IB. So sifting through pages and pages, there's a search engine or spot essentially where you can search AP or IB. And it will bring up all of the AP or all of the IB possible tests. So it will look like this in terms of the screen. So each exam has like a box essentially. And this is showing you from the IB perspective, bio, and then business, right? So you select the exam that you want to take by clicking what says enroll now and then scroll down and click on enroll, so that blue button there. And then, double checking, right, that you're signing up for the right IB or AP classes. In particular, AP English Literature or AP English Language. You just want to make sure that the student knows what exam. And again, the teacher can tell the student I can help my IB students who I see in class, but any student is welcome to come down. Again, I'm located in room 71, right by the cafeteria. They can come see me at any lunch. So to check out, okay, or to make a payment, it's kind of like an Amazon cart. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel, but they would have to do individual payments for each exam. It won't just collect all of them, or will it collect all of them?
It will collect all. They can enroll in all of the ones they need to enroll in and collect all.
Awesome. So once you do that and you finish your payment, this is the part where you will receive an email confirmation of your receipt. And then it will tell you exactly what exams you paid for. And so you can kind of match that up to the exams your students taking. Once again, just because it's a little bit of a change of a timeline from previous years, the full balance will be charged on December 19th. So the credit card that you've been using to make payments, will be charged. For families that are, splitting payments with a significant other, or another family or guardian member, the last credit card on file will be the one that will be charged the remaining balance. Payment questions.
While I give some time for questions to come in, one thing to just share, uh, from one of our attendees. Their student was able to learn more about the AP credits from their advisor at Michigan State when they met with them over the summer before they went into their freshman year. And so that's absolutely something that will take place and can take place. I encourage students to bring that up when they meet with the college advisor as they're selecting courses. I also strongly encourage students, especially IB students, to kind of, for lack of a better word, challenge the advisor they're working with. Because I have seen in situations where students, even at the U of M in Ann Arbor, that students have kind of talked to the advisor about why they think they should have additional credit, and it has been granted. And so, again, that's a case by case, person by person situation. But I want to make sure the students are empowered to have those conversations and uh, be able to talk confidently about what they're capable of doing.
And on that note, if you look at, especially if a student is working with like, these are the 6 universities that I'm hoping to apply for or to, even if that number is greater, the contacting the admissions offices also, there are scholarship opportunities for AP and IB students in some cases, or at least it's an avenue that is like a pathway of like it's a requirement for a certain scholarship. And so there can be opportunities that we don't want students to miss. So talking to our counselors here, talking to admissions offices, and then once a student at that university, all these kind of advocacies for that work you did, that hard work as an AP IB student, like make sure you're getting credit for it, money for it, in any way you can.
One question or kind of thing that came in. Yes, after you can pay your deposit and the full balance all together. It's you have the choice of paying the balance and then or paying the deposit and then right away paying the balance, or just doing the deposit. It's set up so there's flexibility for families.
Mhm.
And that's all I have in both the chat and Q&A.
Wonderful. So we're turning to kind of talking to all my AP IB parents and guardians out there. Just that this kind of applies to both groups. So for students that have on record with us a 504 IEP, for AP students, so they've used College Board already through PSAT, SAT testing. And so those accommodations have already been logged in and they will receive the same accommodations that they did for those tests. And there's no additional actions needed by the families because it's already loaded in with College Board. For IB, those accommodations I have to request separately through the IB system. And so the student just needs to make sure they tell their TC or the 504 coordinator that they're taking an IB exam, and then I can go in and request those accommodations. Just so you know, for IB, the paperwork to support those accommodations being granted needs to be like within 2 years. And so in some cases, we have to reach out to family for like additional medical records or reports. But we have time to do that. So the only thing the student or the parent needs to do is just make sure that the TC is aware so that when I bring my list of students that they are like, these are the students that need requested accommodations.
One thing I'll add to, as Aaron said, sometimes IB does require additional information. Um, the IB accommodations that they provide uh, are sometimes going to be different than what we might provide for the student at school based on a 504 or an IEP or what they're familiar with the College Board accommodations. So we will work closely with the student and their TC or the 504 coordinator and families to make sure everybody knows and understands um, uh, if what those accommodations will be. And then there's a accommodate or a question here that says, can you clarify a student must have a 504/IEP for AP accommodations? That was communicated differently to us in the past. Yes. Um, they have to have approved accommodations in the College Board. So a student may have another reason for College Board granting accommodations. Um, for example, it might be a medical reason that the student doesn't have a 504 or an IEP for, and they were still able to have College Board accommodations. So there could be some situations where there is a student who doesn't have a 504 or an IEP and has College Board accommodations. Whatever, basically the easiest way to think about it is whatever accommodations the student had for PSAT or SAT, they would have for AP. If there are accommodations that a student hasn't had that they are interested in seeking or requesting, please reach out to myself, especially if they don't have a 504 or an IEP, and I can work directly with families to navigate that process and see if it's something that College Board would approve or not. I hope that helped answer that question.
Mm, thank you. All right. So we mentioned this briefly about scores for AP and IB tests being released in July. So we do the May testing session, and they'll get their scores in July. So they'll be able to see those through, if it's AP, through College Board. And then we talked about earning college credit. So AP and IB score ranges are different. AP is out of 5 and IB is out of 7. And so that's what their exam score will reflect. Typically, what we call passing in the AP world is a 3. And then it excels from there, 4 or 5. 5 is exceptional. For IB, there are some, especially for IB diploma candidates, there might be some thresholds they're really looking to hit. And so there's some details down at the bottom of this slide that talks about for IB diploma students, how many, ones, twos, or threes. They can't earn a 1 on any of their exams as a diploma candidate to earn the diploma. So those details are provided down there in terms of the requirements for the diploma candidates. But just so you know, for everyone taking an AP or IB exam, they can expect to get their scores in July. So, the we talked a little bit about how different universities and colleges will perceive or give credit for AP exams. And Ms. Hervey kind of walked through how IB sends out scores, and the first one being free and transferring might come to an additional cost. But one thing we do want to emphasize is that exam scores do not affect like a student's GPA or course grades. So that's not something that they should be worried about. Especially since the scores don't come out in July, there'd be no way for a teacher to even integrate that score into their scoring for their class.
Yeah, and
Ooh, you muted yourself, Rachel.
sorry.
Okay.
Um, just to reiterate that the only time an admissions might be impacted would be if a student is planning to go to an international college, because overseas in Europe, for example, colleges don't look at SATs and AP exams, but IB is an international recognized diploma. And so that is how they determine if a student is qualifies to get into their university or their college. Um, in Europe, there's other different kind of exams or Cambridge exams or GCSEs, stuff like that. And so if a student is has identified an international college or university as their first choice, then they will want to certainly be working closely with their counselor and Ms. Palmer and myself as the it can get a little nerve-wracking for them because they might not know if they get into that school until mid-July. But we can support them through that for sure. Um, so here's a great question that came through. You said AP scores are released in July, so how do they request it to be sent through College Board in June? Great question. So they have to decide if they are going to send it or not. Um, you don't have to have AP scores sent. So students might decide, nope, I woke up that morning and did not feel good, and I am not having that score sent. Um, this really becomes a thing for seniors because their timeline is so much shorter. If it's a junior or a sophomore taking an AP exam, they have far more time to decide. Obviously, they haven't even applied. They don't know where they're going yet. But so that June 1st date is to identify where they're going to school for the scores to be sent. I hope that helps.
They have to kind of for those seniors, because our sophomores and juniors who are taking AP exams, to Hervey's point, they have, a year or possibly longer to decide, like, hey, I really like that score. I want colleges to see it. Seniors kind of have to be like, how did I think I did on that? And then they can decide if they're going to send it or not. Okay. Oop, question just popped in. I don't know if I should move on yet.
Yeah,
Rachel,
we
did
can
you want?
answer that. If a kid's taking a gap year, what do they do? Yep, they can just hold off. They will just go back into College Board later on and send that score. That June 1st date is really there so that colleges can receive the score for students who are planning to enroll in the fall of that year. So they would just need to keep access to their College Board account, which hopefully at this point they have it written down or memorized or something. And just remember to go back and submit that request.
Yeah, their College Board isn't going to expire. And yes, many
And
students.
this is a good opportunity to double check with your student that their College Board account is connected to an email that is not their Dexter School's email. Once they graduate, they do lose access to Dexter School's emails. And so we do try to encourage students to create a personal email account that they can connect to College Board and college applications and things like that. But this is a good opportunity to check in with your child and make sure that they have done that.
Yeah, so there's a few more questions popping in.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So College Board doesn't go away. The
Mhm.
College Board will be here. So whenever it comes time for them to enroll in a university, they would go into their College Board account and select the school that they want it sent to.
So there was a couple questions there. Rachel, did you see the one on, is there a possible downside? I didn't catch the full.
Yeah, let's see. What would be the downside of a senior submitting AP score that turns out not to be a good one? Wouldn't that just mean they can't get credit? That's exactly right, Karen. It just means they're not going to get the college credit. At that point, they're already accepted to colleges. And so the college of choice, they are not going to remove a admissions for an AP score that is lower than maybe what the student had wanted. So they just wouldn't get credit. That's exactly right. Oh, early middle college, yes. They do, early middle college students do still have their Dexter High School email for their 5th year. great question. Yes.
Yes. And the previous question, um, just about submitting a score that, ended up being lower than the student thought. Um, Keep in mind that this is a culmination, right? For AP, like a culmination of like this coursework that they've done. But the exam is a snapshot of what a student did on that single day. More and more in admissions to colleges, they are looking at the course load that students are working on in their transcripts to show the rigor, to show their like academic kind of motivated personalities that shine through a transcript that has AP and IB classes. And colleges are have their own weighting systems for those AP and IB classes beyond just the exams. So it is, and this feeds into this slide and the next about the benefits of taking AP and IB classes, is that it shows like through on that transcript the rigor that the student is pursuing at their high school level. And in particular, setting them up for a lot of our students who know they want to go into the medical field or pre-law or engineering or other avenues where they're taking classes that are at a college level, or in some cases going beyond what an AP US history student. The AP US history course is quite rigorous, and if you talk to a freshman who's taken like a history 101, sometimes it's tougher, right? So they're learning skills that are setting them up to be successful at that college level in a way that I think is so beneficial for students making the transition from high school to college. So speaking to these bullet points about being a competitive college applicant, earning that college credit, whether it's based on the exam score or, through the weighted GPA that the college might assign, strengthening those academic skills. I mean, I can't say enough about how beneficial AP and IB classes can really be for a student in their preparation for that next higher education level. And there's like, but wait, there's more. There's one more. Uh, so for our AP and IB courses, there's such a variety offered at Dexter now, and we've added courses even the last couple years, and our cohorts, even for the IB diploma, are just getting bigger and bigger. And so the exploration of their interest, they're really able to dive deeper into the subjects, and the teachers that are teaching these subjects are so passionate about their content areas. And they're surrounded with those like-minded, students that really are curious about their content. And you should see these teachers just be so excited that they want to, nerd out with the students about their particular academic pursuits. Um, Speaking particularly to IB, and Rachel mentioned this before about international applicants. So students that are, thinking about going to school at Trinity in Ireland or, other places in Germany and Switzerland, this is such a benefit because it in some cases is a requirement to go to an international school. And the IB program is practiced all over the world, which what an incredible community to be part of, that they are recognized as like this is the caliber of student that's coming in from the United States, and so it's immediately recognized. Um, we find it builds incredible confidence and camaraderie and community. I'm not sure if I could fit another C word in there, but these students in core in particular for IB, they're doing some really hard things. And some of our AP students are taking quite a few if you start from sophomore year. So I'm really proud of all of the growth that they experience over those courses. And Rachel, I'm not sure if you wanted to jump in on any of these benefits, kind of beyond just uh, you know, the score itself.
No, I think you hit all the things. I think students really enter that their higher education journeys really well prepared. And I've talked to a lot of different college professors and representatives, And speaking specifically to the IB exams and IB courses, those professors are able to identify an IB student as soon as they see their first assignment submitted, just because of the abilities to write and to critically think and analyze the skills that they're really working on in those courses. So I think that's you got it all.
All right. Well, these are some quick links again, once the slideshow is posted that you can click and see the IB and AP exam schedules so you can mark your calendars. For my AP parents and students out there, again, the exam is posted on like when they click into their class, like right there in that above the italics that we showed at the beginning here. So they can like show you quite easily. And then there's these are issued not from Dexter Community Schools, but these are issued by AP, College Board, and the IB system, like guides for parents and just parent resources, can launch into even more detail than Ms. Hervey and I offered tonight about the program, its benefits, college admission, things like that.
And all these links will be accessible when we share the slides with you.
Mhm. This is just our contact information. Please reach out if you have any questions. As I mentioned before, I teach the IB Core 11 and 12 diploma, IB diploma bound students. So if it's a question about the elements that I am handling for their requirements, so this would be their TOK or theory of knowledge, CAST project, or extended essay. I can answer all kinds of questions about those requirements, or just tell you as a teacher how they're doing in my class. But beyond that, if you have any questions about AP or IB exam registration, please come to me, have your students come to me. And then any financial questions, please direct those to Miss Hervey, as she can get that sorted for your family, answer lots of questions. For accommodations, again, you can contact either one of us. But if you're requesting new accommodations that are not already recorded as a 504 IEP, please reach out to Miss Hervey, as that is aligned with a lot of sensitive information that administration will handle. This is just our, for those of us that like, okay, you've lots of information. Here's the collection of dates and times and amounts that really need to stick with you. Registering for an exam, two-step process for AP and IB. Register and pay. Register and pay. AP and IB students register differently, but they still have to do that step one. They need to do both by October 31st. That's Spooky Friday. Register and pay. And then the full payment, the full balance, December 19th, that's the day before winter break. This is our final questions for those of us that hung in there with us for this hour. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, please send in questions. You can do it through the Q&A or the chat, whichever one. Like we've said, we will get this recording sent out. Look for it in emails to come from the school, but also um, the teachers will have the recording and the slides will be sent out via that same email with the recording. And please reach out. We're happy to help and answer whatever questions we have or you have. Um, there's a question. I see what time the AP exams start, but how long are they? So that's a really good question. It really depends on the exam.
Right.
Um, AP exams are typically around 3-ish hours. But again, depends on the exam. IB exams are much shorter. They're anywhere from 45 minutes to maybe 2 hours. IB exams take place over 2 days. AP exams are one day. So If there's a specific exam you're wondering about, we can certainly give you that exact information. The student also has that information in their AP classroom. Um, and also, a quick Google search will do it too. But APs are usually going to be closer to the 3 hour mark. And then
Mhm.
keep in mind if a student has accommodations where they have extra time, it's on top of that. So in some cases, a student might have an exam that they could be working on it for 4 or 5 hours. Um, and
With designated
students
breaks.
in that situation, they're likely already aware because they've done that for PSAT and SAT. But we'll work closely with those students and families too. The biggest thing is to know that, especially if they have an afternoon AP exam, they might not be able to pick up siblings from school. They might need to arrange for a different ride home because the buses will have already left. Um, so things like that. And in the spring, we will do another meeting just like this to go over some of those more specific dates and times and all of that too. But in the meantime, if you have questions, please reach out.
In the case where you have a multiple AP exams or multiple IB, if there's any overlap, we also look at the amount of hours a student tests within a given day. And so if we need to schedule, particularly for AP students, one of the late AP dates that they already build into their schedule, so they have their initial set of dates and then they duplicate it for late sessions, that's how we're able to help a student manage their different AP exams. And so that will all be communicated and we will have the solution. But if you want to alert us to an overlap or just a concern over, I see multiple of these exams happening on the same day, you can go ahead and reach out. But that is something that I'm also tracking.
Great question. Do you
Mhm.
give any resources later around test prep, or do they mainly work with their teachers on that? Yeah, so they'll work with their teachers. There is a lot of test prep materials on the AP classroom for AP specific exams. IB teachers will also work on test prep, but that's every day in class. The students are preparing for the exams that they'll be taking. So it's really with their teachers.
There is some communication that I'll be sending out in the spring that has like resources issue like quick links essentially to various like test prep type of resources that is just kind of going to come out as part of the information about the testing session. But to Rachel's point, because each exam is so unique and how they prepare and how they write or how they present their ideas is so different from exam to exam. Every teacher is going to build that skill set or those skill type lessons into their coursework so that, an AP US history student knows what the multiple choice is going to look like, what their short answers are going to look like, how to write those effectively. But with those kind of testing session emails, I'm going to put together resources that, a student and parent can click through. For AP students, that college board classroom, that AP classroom, there are so many practice pieces and daily videos that's like immediately accessible. I highly, even if the teacher isn't assigning them, they can go in and they can access those materials. What other questions does anyone have? Well, thank you all for coming. If there's anything else, hang out. We'll hang out here for a few minutes and talk to anybody. But if not, go ahead and sign off and we'll see you later and hopefully talk to you soon. Good luck to all of your students with registration and let us know if you have any problems.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. Few people kind of hanging on here. If you want to throw a question in the chat or if you just want to turn your microphone on, we're happy to take your questions. But thank you so much, everyone. Okay, it's down to you and I.
All right. It looks like we have one person here still.
Okay.
I will go ahead and end it and I will text you.
Okay. All right. Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah.